playing with my mans, that's the shit that get you smoked, get you toked, ayy, yeah, told them big blocks, you get poked. Bitches always talking, fuck they know. This is one take, bitches really fucking fake. This is one take, bitches really fucking fake. Mixtape coming on my birthday, let it drop, ayy. I don't give a fuck about a fight, you a op. I don't give a fuck about a fight, you a op. Let that shit drop, ayy. Hi bitches, what's good? It's Janae. I'm back with another video. Today's video is going to be the third episode in my life story series. This is a series where I go through and tell stories in my life in a chronological order, from the time that I was in kindergarten going all the way up to current present day. We are currently in elementary school in second grade. At the very end of my second grade year is where we left off in the last video. If you didn't see that video, go back and watch it. I'm going to be making a playlist today for all of my life story videos, so definitely go peep that. I'm also going to have like a music playlist for like all my songs and shit. I still gotta upload more songs onto my new channel since I was deleted at 400 subs, unfortunately, but I'm back on my shit. Today's video is going to be about some of my experiences at Camelot. Now, if you watched yesterday's video, then you would know that I bounced around to like 5 different schools like during the end of my first grade year and like most of my second grade year. It was really bad and there's no sort of stability, and I ended up finally going to an alternative behavioral school called Camelot. There's Camelots all across the US. It's a big company. They specialize in special education. The one I went to it looked like a little office building. It was in Hoffman-Estates, Illinois, if you know where that is. I don't live there, so don't come try to find me there. The way this school was set up is that it was one long hall with like a bunch of classrooms and other sort of rooms. One of the sides was behavioral. The other side was like special needs, like kids that like couldn't really function like normally, like very autistic kids, like low functioning autism, Down syndrome, other stuff like that. They kept like 2 big doors separating the 2 sides, and they basically kept us separate. When I first went to this school, it was actually a new Camelot. So this school, I think when I first started, we only had 1 elementary class, which was one that I was in. There was 1 middle school class, and I think there might have been 2 high school classes. I'm not sure. It was a pretty small school. When you walk in, you come in the front office. They make you take your shoes and socks off. They check your pockets. They will pat you down. They have metal detector wands that they wave around you, try to find anything metal that you have on you. If you have a backpack or something, they'll take your backpack and they'll like open it up and check inside, just make sure there's nothing there. And the other thing about this school is that you can't have any electronics. So if you have like a MP3 player or a iPhone or anything like that, they would take it. Game Boy, DS, like whatever it is, they would take it. And this is how most alternative schools work. You kind of lose freedoms that you would have at a public school. So like the way they pat you down and everything, and they're on your ass, and you can't bring anything into the school. Once you go through the initial check-in, if you walk straight past the office and you take a right, and that's that long hallway that I was talking about, and right on the right side was my classroom. Next to us was the middle school class, and if you kept going up the hall, there's the gym, and there's a couple social worker offices, and I think a little kitchen area or something. And then past all of that is the 2 high school classes. Now, something about this school is that it was originally like an office building that they built and turned into a school, so it wasn't like ever intended to be a school. So our gym was literally carpeted. Like I can't make this shit up. We had to like have gym class in a fucking carpeted area. So last episode, I mentioned that it was the first time that I really felt like I fit in. And that was very true, because all the other kids in my class, which were troublemakers, and they misbehaved and they didn't care about school too much. They struggled and shit like that. So I fit in great and I made friends. I mean, there's a few kids that like I really became good friends with, and there's a few others that I would butt heads with and get into fights with. I mentioned that I came in to Camelot at the very end of my second grade year, and at the beginning of my third grade year, my neighbor, we're gonna call her Cassie. All right, so we're gonna call her Cassie. So the next year, I find out that Cassie is going to be going to school with me. I've known Cassie since I was 6 years old when we first moved into my new neighborhood. So I was really excited about that. She was going to be on my bus, and she was also going to be in my class. She was in fifth grade though, and I was going into third grade. So this would be the only year that she would ever be in my class. Here's the thing about me and Cassie is that since we were such good friends, we would feed off of each other, and we would like get into trouble with each other and just fuck around and have fun. We went through like 4 or 5 bus drivers because bus drivers kept like saying they wouldn't drive our route anymore because we were that crazy. Like, we've literally had bus drivers had to pull over and like have another bus driver come to fucking drive us. Eventually they put an aid on our bus to like kind of keep us under control, but I mean, we still fucked around a lot. There was older kids on my bus along with, I was the youngest on my bus. Most of the kids were older. There was like me, Cassie, and there was another elementary school kid, and there was like a middle schooler, and there was a few high schoolers. So yeah, it was a pretty chaotic situation. Not only would me and Cassie mess around on the school bus, we would also get into a good deal of trouble at the school. And my third grade year, I was having a blast because the only thing that I wanted to do was mess around with the other troublemakers. I didn't care about school at all. I didn't want to be there. I loved sports as a kid. I liked video games. I just wanted to go home and, play Mario Kart or whatever and just relax. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't understand it. And I didn't see any point of listening. Like, I already didn't listen to my parents that well, but I didn't see teachers as authority figures over me because like they were kind of just appointed there. Like I never accepted this. Like they're not my parents. Like it just didn't click in my mind. At these alternative schools, they practice something that is called a therapeutic hold, also known as a restraint, and it's basically they will hold you down if you're in danger to yourself or another student. They will pin your arms down, or they'll hold your arms behind your back, or like it'll either be pinned down on the floor or up against the wall or in a chair. There's multiple ways that they do it. If you're wondering how they're able to do this, at these schools, your parents have to sign a form that says that staff can do this to you, which is really fucked up, but it's part of going to this school. And they overuse it. At every school I've been to, they always overuse it. It's supposed to be only if you're in a danger to yourself or others, but they'll use it if you just don't listen. So I would get restrained pretty much daily, and it was really bad. It fucking hurts, especially as a little kid. I would cry like every time it happened. I remember they had brought this one guy in because like our whole school was having a bunch of issues because it was a new school. So they brought a few guys in, actually. It wasn't just one guy. One of the guys is like an ex-military guy. And I remember he used to restrain me a lot. And he did not fuck around. He would pin my arm like really hard behind my back and like yank it. And it would hurt and shit. And then they brought this other guy from a Camelot in Philadelphia that was like for really, really, really bad kids. At this Camelot, basically the kids would have to live there. It was like a boarding school. And they've had stabbings and shootings at the school, and it's just a lot worse than like, it was an inner city school. The school I was going to was more so out in the suburbs. So they bring this guy in, and I forgot what his title was, but he's basically like the dean. It was behavioral something or whatever. This guy also didn't play around. He came in and he made the rules at the school a heck of a lot stricter. Like we had a lot of like free time, and we could just chill. And we would basically, every Friday, we wouldn't even do work. He came in, and a lot of that stuff changed. We lost our privileges. We got a level system, and the level system was negative, neutral, positive, positive, and it was like some other shit. executive, and then leadership. I don't know the higher ones in positive because my little ass never really made it past positive. I did pretty fucking awful with the level system, to be honest. The way it basically worked is that every day you would get like a point sheet, and let's say you got in a fight with another student, you wouldn't get your points for that period. And if you didn't get enough points, then that would make you lower on the level system. And based on how you did that week, you would either move up in the level system or move down. Most of the time, I was on negative. One more thing I wanted to mention is that the staff to student ratio at these schools is different than your typical school. Since they're dealing with students that have a lot of behavioral issues, there's many more staff in each classroom. So I think our classroom, we had a teacher and like 3 or 4 aides. And it's like that in every classroom. And then there's also staff that go around outside the class. If a kid needs to be restrained, you'll literally hear the staff yell like, "Staff!" And then like staff will run in there and like usually carry the kid out and take them to a room and restrain them in that room. They had a like room that like had like padded doors and shit called the quiet room, and they'd usually restrain you in there, or they'd put you in there if they had no other place to put you, and like you were being a disruption to the classroom. I've been put in there multiple times. It fucking sucks. It's like locking you in a jail cell, and then being a young kid, like it's kind of fucked up to do that to a young kid. But anyways, now that y'all have like a basic like understanding of what this school's like, I wanted to go into like a few like little stories that I remember. It's hard to remember all of this stuff because it was so long ago. And one of the funniest things that I remember is that my homie Cassie, remember I said Cassie went to school with me, and we would both feed off of each other and get into hell of trouble, give the teachers hell. I used to love to fuck with my teachers back then. But yeah, so this girl, Cassie, I remember we're all in our class, and like she wasn't in the class at the time. We're just quietly doing work, and I hear someone yell, "Staff!" And then I see Cassie zoom past the classroom, and we all run up to like the door of our classroom, and we're looking out, and there's like 3 staff chasing Cassie. She was running down the hallway towards the office, and there's another staff that was like blocking her. She turns around and she literally jukes out another staff, and she's running back the other way. She runs past our classroom again, and we're watching this, and we just see Mr. Jeff sprint up from behind her and tackle her on like the hard tile. And like this bitch, she got caught up a little bit too. I think Mr. Jeff got a little bit scuffed up, but I just remember that shit was so funny. It was so loud too. Like she was screaming, staff was screaming, her ass got tackled. This shit was funny as fuck. And then something amazing that happened to me my next year, 4th grade year. Cassie still goes to school. However, now she is in middle school. I'm in elementary school. Most of my friends were older in the class, so most of them have moved on to middle school. So I'm not with most of my friends anymore. But there's new students, and I'm becoming, one of the older kids. I'm in 4th grade now, and there's 3rd and 2nd graders behind me now. I'm feeling kind of badass. I'm feeling kind of like I can run shit. There's a new student that comes in, and we're gonna call him Chris. Now, Chris came in my 4th grade year. He was in 3rd grade, and right away, we hit off the bat. He seemed like a really cool kid. He was outgoing and funny. He was fun to be around, and we liked a lot of the same shit. We both liked basketball, video games, and hip-hop, which was like, so we got along really well right off the bat. And we eventually started hanging out outside of school. We'd have sleepovers, and it was just a blast. He became my best friend, really, and I still know him to this day. I might have him in a future episode. I don't know yet. So I don't remember too many stories from 4th grade. It just wasn't that eventful, really. Cassie wasn't in my class anymore, and Kobe didn't come until like kind of the middle of the school year, but more towards like the second half of the school year. Fast forward to 5th grade. There's another new student, and we're going to call him Daquan. All right, so Daquan is a 5th grader. I'm a 5th grader, and Kobe is in 4th grade. I became really close with Daquan, and because I was already really close with Kobe, we both became close. And we became like the 3 best friends in the class, and we also ran the fuck out of our class. Me and Daquan being the 2 oldest and toughest students in the class. Daquan was fucking tougher than me. I'm not gonna lie, in 5th grade, this kid was fucking jacked. Like, his upper shoulders and chest and shit was fucking huge. We used to play basketball, and it would literally be Daquan against me and Chris, and he would still fucking beat us. I don't know how. Kid was crazy back then. But yeah, so we were these like 3 young little badasses, and we would run to class, and we would like basically like all the other students knew what was up. If like we had a problem with one, like if one of us had a problem with someone, all of us had a problem with someone, and vice versa. If someone wanted to beef with one of us, they had to beef with all of us. And we did some pretty messed up stuff. So I'm gonna just tell a few stories real quick from this. One of them is there was this kid, Brandon. He was a little bit on the slow side. He was younger too. He was like 2nd, 3rd grade. And like we were outside. It was recess. He was like by a bush. And I don't know why, but we just liked to fuck with him because it was funny. And he would say like really out of pocket, like crazy, random, weird shit. And like he would just tweak about stuff. Like, here's the thing. If you're getting messed with by kids, just don't react in like any sort of like different way, or like just don't really react, because the whole reason we fucked with him is because it was so funny how he reacted. He was a tweak. He would tweak out about shit that we said, and that was fun for us little bullies. So if you're being fucking picked on, just don't give the bullies what they want. Just like chill out. If you can fight them, fucking fight them. But if you can't fight them, like if it's too many, I mean, you can still choose to fight, but you're going to get your ass beat. Like, I know they say, like, if you hit a bully, it'll stop. I'm going to tell you right now, that's not true. If you can beat a bully up, they will stop, but you can't just hit them. Like, I don't know who the fuck came up with that, but yeah, it's not true. And so we're talking to this kid, Brandon, and I forgot who, but one of us was like, oh, Brandon, you're gay, or whatever. And he's like, what's gay? And we're like, well, you are, you're gay. And we're like, go tell, our teacher's name was Mr. Ricky. So we were basically telling him, like, oh, go up to Mr. Ricky and, like, tell Mr. Ricky that you're gay. And he was like, no. He's like, why would I do that? He's like, just do it. He's like, you'll be cool. I was like, well, you'll be one of the cool kids. Like, you can chill with us if you do it. He's like, tell him that you're gay and you like to be with men alone in dark rooms. And this kid, I kid you not, this kid goes, okay, and he gets up, and we're just watching this, and he walks up to Mr. Ricky, and he goes, Mr. Ricky, I'm gay, and I like to be with men in dark rooms. And we're just sitting there fucking laughing our asses off. And then Mr. Ricky pulls us all inside, and he's like, why would you do that? Like, Brandon obviously doesn't know about that. Like, you shouldn't be, like, doing that. Like, that's not right. And he made us sit inside for the rest of recess. Another time when we messed with a kid is we were playing soccer, and the kids we were playing us were getting really frustrated. One kid in particular, we're going to call him Eric. Now, Eric was a very small boy, and he was a very excitable boy. He would get, like, really hype, and if anything happened, he would completely overreact and, like, throw a temper tantrum and freak out. So we were playing soccer, and Chris kept kicking the ball really hard, because we're obviously trying to win, and it's a game, right? But Eric did not like that very much, and he was getting very frustrated. And eventually he yells out, stop kicking the ball so fucking hard. And we're like, okay, whatever. So, like, I'm running down the soccer field, and Chris is on my left. And Chris just gives me this look, and he gives me a little smile. And he fucking takes his leg, goes all the way back, and kicks that shit as hard as he can right at Eric. It hits Eric, and I swear to you, Eric's face turns like a bright red, like fire truck red. And like he just like, I swear steam came out of his fucking ears. Like, and this kid just goes, he screams so loud. And like it makes all the teachers like suddenly see us, and they all turn and look at us. And this kid Eric just starts sprinting at Kobe, and he like tries to jump on Kobe, but Mr. Ricky grabs him from the back and literally picks him up with like, he's still trying to throw punches in the air. And he's like kicking and screaming, and then he just gets carried inside. And once again, me, Chris, and Daquan are just sitting there laughing our asses off. I know it was mean, but it was just so funny. It was literally so funny. Like, so many kids in our class were tweaks like that. Like they would freak out, and it was just funny to us. Another story that I wanted to tell is about when I finessed this kid. We're gonna call him Devin. Now, a lot of my friends were super into like WWE, so we'd have like little WWE figures, and I had a few of them too, but I didn't have that many. I wanted to get more. This kid Devin comes from like a pretty good, well-off, rich family, so he had some of like the coolest figures and like the best shit. I remember he had like a Rey Mysterio and an Undertaker figure, and I had some like fucking like generic ass like wrestler figure. And I was trying to like trade him for his two figures. Now my figure was like no one. Like I don't even think it was like a famous wrestler. It was just like a generic wrestler. But with the help of Chris and Daquan, we convinced Devin that like what I had was like a super ultra rare one. And I was like, I want to trade it for two figures because those are like my favorite wrestlers. But this is like way cooler. And we finessed the fuck out of this kid. And yeah, I stole those two wrestlers from him, and I never brought them to school because obviously why would I do that? But I finessed the fuck out of this kid, and he comes to school the next day, and he's like, my mom said that like this is not like whatever, this is not rare or whatever, it's not like, it's just a generic knockoff. And he's like, I want my wrestlers back. And I was like, no, like it's your fault for being stupid. Which I know it's mean, but it's just the environment really eggs you on to do shit like that. It's a behavioral school. A lot of kids are acting out. So I do feel a little bit bad about that now looking back, but I was a little savage. That's about all the stories I want to tell from Camelot. I can't wait until we get into the further episodes. Stories get really intense and crazy when I get older. Once you get up to middle school, high school, middle school is coming next. We're about to see some crazy shit. It's about to get crazier, and then high school and after high school, right after high school, it really heats up. Fucking love y'all bitches. Have a great day. Stay blessed, stay positive, stay lifted. Peace out.
With the slickness, what you gonna do when Bill come with the quickness? I ain't gonna be here to get his attention, nigga.
Yeah, I come up, I fuck up this shit, so listen. All my diamonds, they glisten. I ball like a piston, my flow is some magic. Just like magicians, I told you bitch ass. Sit down and listen, or you could get gone with the wind. Chop off your head like a ring. Promise I'm ready to sin. Bitch, I'm like mine, but did to some shit. Yeah, fuck with me and you'll swim with death fishes. I give them death wishes. Bitch, I'm that mistress, I stay in the mission. I am the rock like the rain. Bitch, I'm insane. Put the mic to your dome and I'll blow out your brain. Just to feel my pain. Promise, I do not talk to no lames. We is not one and the same. How did you think it would feel to see my homies wrapped in them chains? How did you think it would feel when Johnny told him my name? How did you think I would feel when everything changed? Nothing's the same, but I'm still spinning game. Talking about pain, you could get lost in the rain. All my problems like go down the drain.